now we're up.
Be on the big screen.
You're on the big screen.
You're on the big screen.
You were looking too serious before.
I know, I better shut up.
1 second, let's get him.
Hold on, we can't hear you.
All right, so you get your, Paul, can you hear us? Oh, no, we can't hear you.
You're muted.
Oh, you're muted now. No, still nothing yet. Hold on. Mark's trying to fix it. Try now, Paul? Oh, there you go.
Everything's fine on my end.
All right, good. Now we're good.
Yep, we have you now. So, Paul, Chuck is unable to attend the meeting, so
Oh,
we just got notification.
okay. That's fine. Wasn't planning on that, obviously, but Anthony, you will help guide me along on this?
Yes, absolutely.
All right. And the clerk, you're likewise remote, so at least it's not on the island.
It's gonna be a party.
It'll be a party. Okay, then why don't we, we're live now, aren't we, or are we not?
We are live, yes.
Okay, then great. So welcome to the Town of Littleton Select Board meeting, January 24th, 2022. I will first read through our agenda, and as you can see, I'm acting as chair tonight in the absence of our chair, Chuck DeCoste, and I am remote. It's a hybrid meeting, so both participants in the meeting and the public are allowed and have the option of either being there live or coming in through Zoom. At 6:30, we're already 6:40 now, we'll do organization, pledge of allegiance, read mail. 6:35, we have a number of department and board updates. Town clerk on the dedication list for the town report. Public Works has a few items regarding snow and ice deficit, a shared street and spaces grant program application, and performance stipend for their administrator. Town planner is coming in as well for authorization, sign a letter of intent, relative mitigation plan funding, master service agreement for Green International Affiliates, and also DHCD housing choice regulations update. We also have a report from the Clean Lakes Committee, which is looking for Inter-Municipal agreement approval for the town of Westford for Lake Mattawanakee, as we call it on this side of the pond. Fire department, acceptance of a firefighter safety equipment grant. Buildings, land use reorganization. We will hear if there is any update on the job description. Followed on the agenda by public input members updates at 7 o'clock, and we will, Anthony, keep us on schedule for this. We will honor that if we have to take things out of order. A public hearing, Donald Supermarkets application for a change of category from wine and malt beverages to all alcoholic beverages. Again, at 7 o'clock, followed by another, so both hearings, are they, Anthony, or is the second one not a hearing?
The second one is not a hearing, Paul, it's just a change of
Okay, fine.
management.
Thank you. We have licensing issue with Anthony's Coal-Fired Pizza of Littleton, change of manager. We also have select board discussions on a few topics that are looked at as RFP for 12 Robinson Road, select board goals update, discuss next select board retreat, and also discuss creation of transfer of development rights ad hoc working group. We will also have a town administrator, assistant town administrator updates on topics including rules, select board rules and regulations, and open space and recreation plan draft RFP. And we'll finally have minutes from the January 10th meeting for approval and adjournment. So with that, I will ask the clerk remotely to lead us in the pledge of allegiance, please.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Anthony, we have a number of mail items that you want to highlight for us.
Yes, Mr. Chair, I'll be brief. There's three. The first one is from Xfinity, and it's just a program advisory that they're adding in a couple of channels, and the information is in the packet. The second issue is we just got a receipt from the local elections commission that they received Diane's redistricting map that we had talked about and approved a couple meetings ago. And the third item is we just received on late last week on Thursday. Once again, Littleton received first place for the annual report contest that the MMA does. I know that this is something that staff really puts a lot of pride and time into doing, and they've really, it was something that we just had to do to something that we actually enjoy doing. So they were thrilled that, once again, that we, for the fourth consecutive year, that I believe it's the fourth consecutive year that we received the first place award for our annual report. Two more will tie the Patriots. And that's it, Mr. Chair, for the updates with the mail.
You're not transferring to Tampa Bay, are you, Anthony?
No, Tampa Bay, no. Although they may be looking for a quarterback, you never know.
Thank you. All right, that's it, mail, is it?
That's it, sir.
Okay, great, thank you. Public Works, I'm not sure who's here are you representing that on behalf of Chris and team, or?
Actually,
How are you?
Paul, the first thing that we have is Diane's here, and
Oh, I'm sorry, I apologize for that, you're right.
yeah,
Town clerk. Madam Clerk, are you there in the audience?
I am.
she's coming to the podium now. Here she is.
Okay, terrific.
Good evening, and thank you for having me. As we all know, part of the annual town report is the dedication. And this evening, you should all have in your packet the list of deaths that occurred last year. And in it, you will notice that it is separated in three different categories. And the first category is any death certificate which the town clerk received in the actual office. So as you look over the list that you received, this is anyone that either died in Littleton, lived in Littleton, that I received a death certificate for. So on the list, you may see names that you don't recognize, and it could very well be that they did not live in Littleton, you wouldn't recognize them. The second list,
But they were buried in
But they
Littleton,
were,
and that's why that's part of the list, right?
part
It's
of the
those
list,
that
right.
are buried at West Lawn, and
Yeah.
then, which could include non-residents.
right. The second list is outside burials and cremations, so anybody that I received a burial permit for. So it's anybody that could have possibly lived in Littleton, moved out of Littleton, and has decided to come back, and the family has decided to bury them in Littleton. And the final list, and it's only one person that I'm aware of that used to live in Littleton, passed away, did not get buried back here in Littleton, did not die in Littleton, did not live in Littleton, and that would be Joe Calentro. But there may be other people that you, as select board members,
Yeah.
may know.
Yeah, Mr. Chair, if I may, what, different from previous years is I wanted to get this preliminary list out here. We're not looking for action at this point in time because we have plenty of time. But we did want the board to have an opportunity to possibly catch one of those folks that was not currently a Littleton resident, moved out, that we're aware of, that may have passed away, and due their consideration for the dedication. So, again, we're not looking for anything other than to provide the board with enough time to do their due diligence and look over and see if anybody was missed.
Right, and so,
In
yeah,
a moment, I'll ask the board members if they have any thoughts initially on that. I'll say this, I think that's an important part of this exercise annually, and I appreciate both you, Anthony, and Diane for, getting this before us in this form. But I'll say this is my first flush, going over the list. Usually annually, there's somebody that, falls through the cracks for one of those reasons, they're not in town or whatever, and I think, Madam Clerk, you've, to my satisfaction anyway, you not only got everybody here that I was aware of, and I also happen to agree with your choices too, but, board members, any, others? Comments?
No, there's no action has to be taken tonight anyway.
Yeah, no. There's a couple names on there that I'd like to maybe have considered, but we can definitely discuss that once everybody's had a chance to look over the list.
Yeah, we
Talk about it?
Yeah, we've already talked, Anthony and I have already talked because somebody has brought somebody's name up to us already since the time we looked at this. And,
Right.
there are people that, others may know that have done service that we were unaware of.
Right.
And things like that. And so that's why, you had stated in the past that, there were, you never saw the list until I brought forward a preliminary list with, actual information regarding the people who had passed. And that's why you're getting this list, a way ahead of time. And, so we wanted to be sure that, the information that you received got, of people were brought way ahead of time. So, you never got the list.
Greatly appreciated.
Yeah, it's great. It's perfect. I like the way it's formatted. Thank you.
Yeah.
And like I said, there may be somebody that that passed away outside of Littleton, but lived in Littleton, years ago or whatever, and
Yeah.
you felt, deserved to be recognized as well, so.
Okay.
That's, well, everybody can put the thinking caps on, and, if the public at large is watching this, and if you have input as well, let us know, let the clerk know. Either way is fine, I suppose, and we can revisit this whenever appropriate. And thank you again, Madam Clerk. Anything further on this, Diana? Do you have an idea of when you would like to get action from our board on it?
If we can, obviously we need it by the end of February, but the sooner you get it back to us, the sooner we can, the write-ups can be done and get off to the families so that they can look at what's being written up and,
Okay. Oh, with that in mind, we got to meet on the 7th, Anthony, and defer to the board, but is it everyone comfortable? They'll have enough time there to opine if you have any other thoughts, questions, names that seem to be missing, that sort of thing?
I think so. Yeah.
Okay, great.
Okay, so we'll put that on the agenda for the 7th then, Mr. Chair.
Okay.
all right.
Thank you, Madam Clerk. Anything else?
Nope, I'm all set, thank you so much.
Okay. Anthony, as we go forward, just
Sure.
because I'm a bit limited in being able to see everybody in the room, I'd appreciate any help you can give me in
Sure.
recognizing folks that,
Absolutely. So the next one is Chris started with Public Works. He has 3 asks, and he is right there remote.
terrific. Hi, Chris.
So the first one is requesting that you authorize us to deficit spend personal ice. Where it's that time of year where we've pretty much exhausted the $200,000 that we appropriated. So we need to tap into that $450,000 allowance. This is the latest we've ever been to you folks. So I'd say that's something.
I always feel obligated when this topic comes up, and it does annually, to remind the public who may already know but might not remember, and for those who are watching and this is a new topic to them, the reason we are making this vote and the reason we incur expenses in excess of appropriation is, correct me if I'm wrong, Chris, is essentially the way that state law puts us in this position. We kind of have to, because if we ever appropriate a higher amount, we can't reduce it in future budgets. Isn't that correct?
Correct, yes.
So this is an odd way of financing that's been around as long as I have been, but it's not of our making. It's just something we have to do.
Yep, it's totally normal. Like you said, we've done it every year I've ever been here, and it's every year probably from here on forever, so.
Right. Okay. Any other input, board members, Anthony, on this topic?
Nope, I think Chris said it all, and if there's nothing else, we could do a motion.
Absolutely.
All right, I move that the select board vote pursuant to Mass General Law, Chapter 44, Section 31D, to approve incurring expenses in excess of the available appropriation for snow and ice removal for fiscal year 2022.
Second.
Okay, moved by Mr. Nordhaus, seconded by Ms. Napoli. Because this is a hybrid meeting, I'll have to do a roll call vote. So, Mr. Knox,
Aye.
Ms. Napoli,
Aye.
Mr. Nordhaus,
Aye.
and Mr. Glade is an aye as well, and Mr. DeCoste is not present. Okay, thank you. Next topic, please.
Okay, so, on this one, the, shared streets, Massachusetts just put out their fourth, round of, shared streets and spaces grant program. And there's two opportunities that we'd like to apply for under that grant. The first one is, we're gonna try to go for up to $100,000 to put, rapid response flashing beacons, which are kind of very similar to Kimball Farm, down at the crosswalk at 300 King Street. That's a hugely populated area. I mean, you folks all know. So we're trying, if we can, get that thing as safe as we can. So we're gonna put in a grant for that. And then there's another opportunity within the application to apply for equipment only to be used on sidewalks. So we kind of put our heads together trying to figure out what we could purchase. And one of our thoughts is to purchase a new Kubota side-by-side UTV with a setup for pre-treating the street sidewalks for like a salt brine application. We don't typically treat the sidewalks in town, but this is we're gonna have to start doing this eventually. I mean, this weather recently has been a perfect example. We plowed them and then they turned into a sheet of ice. So, we think if we can get the equipment and the upgrade of the light, it'd be a huge help for the town. So we're really just looking for the board's approval to submit this application to the state.
Board members, any questions or comments?
No.
Nope.
Okay. I just have one, Chris, and I agree with both of these selections here. Again, for the folks who aren't familiar by the street number names, Kennedy Street, that intersection, is the reason you chose that is that's on the trees, that's where that's located.
Okay, I'm sorry, correct.
Yeah, that's fine. So I agree with these. I wonder if you had other opportunities, what else would you be pursuing, or why did you settle on these items?
With the previous rounds, there's a time deadline on these projects. This one's a little bit farther out, but we have to balance how hard it's gonna be to get through Mass DOT permitting. I mean, most of our infrastructure is on the state roads, like in those areas. So this is kind of, we think, is a fairly quick hitter for Mass DOT. We can get in there, we can do a quick conceptual design. It doesn't have to be a full survey design. So I tried to balance being able to actually get something done and being substantial enough to actually go for the grant. I couldn't really think of any other areas in town that made more sense. That's kind of why we chose this one.
Okay, terrific. Then I guess we'll be looking for a motion, Mr. Clerk.
I move that the select board vote to authorize the submission of the Massachusetts Shared Streets Grant application for pedestrian safety improvements and equipment.
Second.
Motion's been made by Mr. Nordhaus, seconded by Mr. Knox. Any further discussion? If not, roll call vote. Mr. Knox?
Aye.
Ms. Napoli?
Aye.
Mr. Nordhaus?
Aye.
And Mr. Grady's an aye. Motion has passed. Thank you. So you have another item?
Yeah, so I got one more. So obviously, since I've been left being full-time down there, Ashley Bernard, my business manager, she's really stepped up and basically done my job when I'm not there. So what I was hoping to do is kind of tag on to the similar to what the interim fire chief did, is to give her a bump in the interim until we can get a new full-time DPW director. And I think you've seen her, she's come to a few of the select board meetings for me. We'd be able to cover right out of my line item, my DPW director salary line item. We're proposing the same bump that Kim got, which is the $384.62 bi-weekly. And I think she's just, I hope you guys have seen, there's been a seamless transition. We really haven't seen a lag in DPW down there. A lot of that is coming directly from her because she's working so hard to keep everything going as smooth as we can. And we'd like to try to, reward her for that extra effort that she's taking.
No disagreement here. Board members?
I'm in favor.
I have no problem with it at all. I think it's a good reward for all the work she's doing.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you, Chris, for bringing it forward and bringing this to our attention. We appreciate it.
Oh, thank you.
Great. Okay, well then, how about a motion then, Mr. Clerk?
I move that the select board vote to authorize the payment of a performance stipend to Ashley Pinard in the bi-weekly amount of $384.62, effective December 1st, 2021, until such time as a new director of public works is hired.
Second.
Okay, motion been made by Mr. Nordhaus, seconded by Mr. Knott. Further discussion, all those in favor, Mr. Knott,
Aye.
Ms. Napoli,
Aye.
Mr. Nordhaus,
Aye.
Mr. Delaney's aye, and motion is carried. Thank you, Chris.
Thank you. Have a wonderful night.
You do.
Mr. Chair, that's 7 o'clock hour for the public hearing, not to interrupt you.
Thank you, that's exactly what I was hoping, or that's what I was gonna suggest. So yeah, we're close to 7 o'clock, and then this, we're gonna need to read the hearing notice and all that too, correct? Or do we, are
Correct.
we not required? Yeah.
Correct, we've done that in the past, if the clerk has that, if not, Joe or I could call that up for him to read.
I will go find it.
Yeah, it should be on the back side of the, well, I have the paper copies here, right behind the motion sheet or the agenda sheet.
Oh, come on, where is it?
We'll dig it out for you.
Yeah, well, if you would, I'm looking through the.
What number is it, Anthony?
It's under public hearing.
Yeah, Form A, number, item 4A.
Oh, 4A, that's why I couldn't find it. Okay, here we go. The Littleton Select Board. Am I muted? I'm not muted.
No, you're fine.
The Littleton Select Board will conduct a public hearing on Monday, January 24th, 2022 at 7 p.m. in the Littleton Town Offices, Room 103, 37 Shattuck Street, Littleton, Mass. To act on the requested change of category to all alcohol off-premises license under Mass General Law, Chapter 138, Section 15, submitted by licensee Donlands Supermarkets, Inc., 236 Gray Road, Littleton, Mass. In the event the meeting is either fully remote or hybrid, the Zoom information will be included in the agenda, which will be posted no later than 48 hours before the hearing. Change of category off-premise license, change to all alcohol off-premise from wine and malt off-premise. A copy of the application may be seen at the Select Board Town Administrator's Office, room 306 at 37 Shattuck Street, Littleton, Mass. Comments thereon may be submitted in writing to selectboard@littletonmass.org or to the Select Board Town Administrator's Office, 37 Shattuck Street, Littleton, Mass. 01460 by noon on Wednesday, January 19th, 2022, or in person at the hearing. Littleton Select Board, Charles DeCoste, Chair.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Clerk. Anthony, correct me if I go astray, but my intent is that we will, we'll consider now the hearing is open. We will ask if the petitioners have anyone that wants to present their case for them. We'll ask for any input from town departments. Board members can ask any questions they may have while in the hearing mode. We will also give an opportunity for the general public to ask questions in the hearing mode, and then when we have a motion and vote to exit the hearing mode, we can, as a board, deliberate and have our vote outside the hearings. Correct, Anthony?
That's correct.
Okay, great. And do you know, is there someone here that's going to be presenting before us?
Yes, we, go right ahead and just,
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, members of the board. My name is Alex Parra. I'm an attorney with the Augustine Levine, Parra and Netburn, representing Donlands. And with me tonight is Mr. Gopal Patel, one of the owners, and Kathy Roth, who has been the liquor license manager at Donlands for over 20 years, and also Mr. Larry King, who's been the store manager for approximately 30 years. I have some matters to submit with proofs of mailing of notices,
you have a check for me?
and I have a check for you.
Thank you. For the town.
It's made to the, it was made to the newspaper.
Good job if you can get it, I guess.
And also the certified abutters list.
Joe, did we already pay for that and he's reimbursing us?
I believe so.
Check for any chance? We'll have to replace it.
All right, so, yeah. So we're just gonna need that to the town of Littleton.
Yeah, right. Thank you. I apologize about that. We made it out to the newspaper. So we give you a brief summary. The application that's in front of you is fairly simple. We're seeking to change category from wine and malt beverages to all alcoholic beverages. Not going to be any structural changes to the store. We submitted a plan showing proposed location of an extra half aisle of shelves for liquor to be sold. And that's pretty much it. We're going to have the same store manager, we're going to have the same liquor license manager. I think the town would agree. There's been a stellar track record in terms of compliance with liquor laws over the years. And this is part of a plan to bring some improvements to Donalds in terms of the customer service, some other things that are going on. Will be new signage, new self-service checkout line. And the purpose here is really to help Donalds to compete with the big stores in the area, 2 Market Baskets, Whole Foods within 5 miles. Create a one-stop shopping experience. Mr. Patel is here, Kathy Roth is here, Mr. King are all here, available to answer your questions. Thank you.
Okay, I have a few, but I'll first ask Anthony procedurally. This is presented as a change of category. If implemented, would it change our available licenses for all alcoholic beverages from the town?
It would reduce that down to 1 if this was granted.
Okay, that's important to know. All right, thank you. I will ask board members first, have any particular questions for Attorney Parra or anyone else from the Donalds group?
Do you want to go first, Joe?
Yeah, okay. Yeah, I'll go first. Well, I certainly understand that you want to improve your store to make it one-stop shopping, and I know you're competing with the big boxes, fully understand that. And as a shopper of Donalds my whole life, I still continue to go to your store. I'm probably there 3 days a week, so I'm doing that. But I know in the past, in this area, we had other people that also applied for a full liquor license. And because of the concentration of liquor licenses in that whole area, we didn't grant it to them. And personally, I have a problem with that. We denied it from a person right up the street from you, but we're gonna possibly give you one. So my initial reaction right now, unless I can be persuaded differently, would not be in favor of this license.
Okay, do you have any questions, Ms. Napoli? Any question or comment?
I don't have any questions. I appreciate the presentation. It's pretty straightforward. Certainly to echo Mr. Knox's comments, can appreciate the need of competing against larger size markets that sell, a similar product that you do. But to echo again what Mr. Knox said, I think we have such a concentration of stores that full service liquor stores already within that radius, a small radius, and we have denied similar requests in the past just because of the need identified within that area of town, that we denied those requests. And I would be apt to deny this request as well, just based on that. There's already plenty of other establishments in that area that offer that product to the community, so I don't see the need for it.
Okay.
Mr. Chair?
Yeah.
Thank you. I guess I disagree with Ms. Napoli and Mr. Knox. I feel as though Donlands has been an excellent resident of the town for a long time, and we don't see a lot of input to, town activities from Market Basket or Whole Foods, and we definitely see involvement from Donlands. And if they need or they would like to use this as an opportunity to be competitive, I feel like it would be a good thing to do to support them. I'm not sure that a cluster of licenses and proximity to other licenses is necessarily a bad thing. I'm not sure, if we have a bunch of restaurants close together at the Point, or we have a bunch, I know we have, the sub shop and the liquor store downtown, but I would prefer that we support Donlands because they've been here and they're part of the town. And I don't feel the same way about Market Basket.
Great. We don't, I'll welcome input. We can get into our deliberative stage. We can reiterate these arguments. Our deliberative stage and mostly looking together any and all input and questions folks may have. If there's anyone in the audience here, Anthony, that is specifically looking to speak to this citizen, please put that request out for us. And likewise for our online viewers, Joe Layton, I assume you're monitoring that?
Correct, Mr. Chair. I do have one person that just raised their hand to speak online.
Okay, first off, since I started there, Anthony, anyone in the room looking to
Yeah,
get involved here?
We do have one hand raised for the room in person, Mr. Chair.
Okay, great. Then what that is approach the microphone and identify yourself by name and address.
Yep. Thank you.
Good evening, gentlemen and ladies. Dominic 780 Tehadawon. I own Great Road Liquors at 312 Great Road, which is 525 yards away from the front door from Donlands. I am a local small business owner, a disabled veteran, and I feel that the addition of a liquor license to Donlands will definitely hurt my business. And that's all I have to say.
Thank you, Mr. Seven.
Okay.
Okay, and Joe, you said there was someone online or Zoom or that would like to speak as well?
Yes, we have Kimberly Mayo.
Okay, are you a resident? If so, Ms. Bailey, this is really just for resident or the applicant.
I'm actually here to speak in public forum, but since I'm on the phone,
Okay.
I'll chime in.
Okay, great. Not this,
So can I continue? May I continue?
what's the pleasure of the board here?
What is she speaking?
Is he speaking on this issue?
I was going to chime in. I was here to speak on public forum, but since I'm on the call, I thought I would chime in on this, sure.
No.
I agree with what Matthew said.
Can you state your name and address?
Hold on, can you identify yourself by name and address, please?
Kim Mayo, 148 Howard Ave. Agree with Mr. Nordhaus said, and if I'm not mistaken, the other liquor store, also known as Packy, in our vernacular, is that owned by a former board member that's a friend of the planning board? And I'm not talking about the gentleman who just spoke. That's all I have.
I don't know what she's talking
I
about.
don't know. No idea what that is, and thank you.
Joe.
Mistake made. Anthony,
That's,
I don't know.
yeah, that's all the comments I'm sorry, Mr. Patel would like to address the board, and he's walking to the mic right now.
Hi, my name is Gopal Patel. I'm a president of Dolan's Supermarket Inc. I would like to tell you about Dolan's. We are in environment where cutthroat competition from Market Basket, Whole Foods, and they have a better resource. They are better equipped. They have a better management. We do have better management, but they are nationally recognized. They have better technology, better supply chain, better distribution center. And only thing we have the best is our employee and the people of Littleton who support us for over the years. The only reason the Dolomans in this market because of the people of Littleton and the people of, employee of the Dolomans. So I would request to support liquor license of Dolomans because a few years from now, the competition get increased day by day, every day. And the supply chain issue targets the small chain little more than bigger chain because Market Basket, Whole Food, they have a better resource. They are better financed, better funded. In all category, they are outbid us except for our employee. And we have a lot of support from customer from the town. We are looking to cater the existing customer that already come into our place. We're not looking to steal the business from surrounding, but we're trying to get a little bit better every day. And Dolomans was already there before the Great Liquor Store was there. It is better to have something extra in the Dolaman store to offering more to the customer. That's all I have to say, but we are in the very, very competitive environment that we have to do something smarter every day because we are considered very small chain compared to this large market. The small store, we also have the small store. The small store is thriving, but the supermarket, independent supermarket is struggling because they are dealing directly with those big players. The small store, they are convenience, so customer go regardless. So I want everybody to support this license because we don't know few years from now where we are. And I'm really worried about my employees. We have about 100 people in the stores, and we like to be serve the community for years to come. We're not here for like few years. I'm here for the long run. So I want to offer more to the customers every single day, and we are making a significant improvement in our store. By next week, we're going to have a fresh market sign in the street side as well as the wall side. We are putting the self-serve checkout for customer safety because some customer request they don't like to be touched their food. So we are putting the self-checkout lanes for the customer who don't like to be go on the regular lanes. And we are doing everything that give a better experience to the customer and the better serve the customer. We trying to put everything, our heart, soul, money, and everything into the store to thrive every day. Only concern I have, we have a total 4 stores, and only struggle is the Littleton store. All other store is thriving. The square footage per sale is absolutely great. After the Market Basket came in, our sale is dropped about 40%, and I'm trying to bring it back. And if we have a liquor license, if we have a new sign, if we put in new flooring, new ceiling, I think we're going to be where we are. Like by couple year, my target is to be same business as we had like 5 years ago when Market Basket came in.
Okay. Thank you. And if I have any questions, and I do have a few, Mr. Patel, would you prefer I ask them of you or through your attorney, Attorney Parra?
You can ask me, that's fine.
Okay. You've been saying, I just heard you say that, you wanted to return where you were 5 years ago. Well, we just did the transfer of the liquor license to your ownership group within the past year. It's still Donlin Supermarkets in name, but you folks have only been there how long?
3 months. 3.5
3 months.
Yeah.
I would, okay, thank you. And also, Attorney Parra made the argument that, this is to stay competitive with Market Baskets and a Whole Foods in there. To my knowledge, none of those stores have full liquor sales, or they don't even sell beer and wine, I don't believe. Am I wrong about that?
In a way, I want to tell you, the market.
I'm wrong in the way?
No.
Am I wrong?
The Market Basket has a big liquor store right next to them, so
Oh, okay.
yes, it's a
Not
pretty
the
big
same
city.
thing.
Yeah.
It's not the same thing, thank you. And thirdly, in your presentation packet, you include a floor map which shows a proposed aisle that you would be converting to the spirits, correct?
Yes.
Okay. Then my question, I guess, would be to Anthony, although Attorney Parry or Mr. Patel, if any of you want to chime in, is there anything that would restrict the smoke if we made this change to an all alcohol beverages to only that designated area, or would they be free to convert as much of the store to full alcohol if they wanted to?
Can you repeat this question? I didn't really get it. So.
I don't expect you to know necessarily the answer to this,
Right.
so that's why I asked, Mr. Ansaldi, the administrator, or Attorney Parra, or whoever wants to speak to it. Is there anything that would restrict the floor space to that area for sale of the all alcohol?
So I don't know if Mr. Attorney Parra wants to first
Sorry, Mr.
address.
Chairman, the answer is that you can condition the license that way, yes.
Right.
So you can say, designate areas of the store where the sale would be permitted.
Okay. All right, thank you for that. I have observation, but I'll say that deliberation. We see if there's any other comments here. Included in the packet, I suppose we should assist for the record, Anthony, what town officials have reviewed this for various legal or public safety considerations, and we have comments back from who is it, the police and fire departments? Anthony, is that correct?
Yes. Joe, do you have those handy while we pop this up? I don't believe there was any issues.
There was one.
One? 1 second.
From the building commissioner.
Actually, since the building commissioner is here and I don't have that documentation, Ed, would you mind?
Then we'll just show it for the record. It's in our packet.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
We do have, it has been reviewed, just to show that when the application came in, we did circulate it. Actually, Dawn did, I believe, on behalf of the town, Dawn.
Yes, we have emails from the fire chief and the police chief saying that they have no issues, and from the building commissioner saying annual inspections will be required if approved.
Okay, and that's more to compliance than anything.
Yep.
Correct. Okay. Unless any board member or anyone else has any reason or anything to add within the public hearing mode, then I would ask that we have a motion to close the public hearing, and then the board can deliberate on the proposal before us.
Gotta find the motion.
There's no motion for that. You can make that motion to close the public hearing.
I make a motion to close the public hearing.
Second.
Motion's been made by Mr. Knox, seconded by Ms. Napoli, but I know Mr. Nordhaus was ready to do it too. That's fine. To close the public hearing, all those in favor, Mr. Knox?
Oh, Mr. Chair, I'm sorry to interrupt you. It appears a hand just raised by Mike Zeldin. Are you still taking comments from Zoom land?
We have a motion, but was the, Okay, against my better, all right, fine. Mr. Zeldin, please. The motion hasn't been voted on yet.
Thank you very much, Michael Zeldin, 11 Luann Street. I've had my hand up, so you folks have been busy. I just have a question for either the attorney or the owner. Whether they realize it or not, the ambience in their store is far superior, in my view, and in view of many others, to the so-called competition. It's very, very different. And if you can enhance that, that would be great. But the question really is, I don't know if you realize it, but whoever is your wine buyer and chooser, they're over the top. They're very, very good. And my question is, do you plan on reducing the space and variety and choices for your wines? As a result, if you're so lucky as to get a alcoholic beverage license.
Thank you, Mr. Zeldin, for the comment. Mr. Patel, thank you. The questions come in through the chair, so if you would I'll recognize Mrs. Patel if you would like to respond to either of those questions raised.
We are not selling a nips, those small bottle, we are not going to sell if you got approved by the license.
The question was, were you gonna reduce the?
Yeah, we do not have a like large selection of wine like other store has, so we're going to keep what's we have. We're going to keep what's moving.
Thank you. Okay, so we did have a motion and second on the floor. And so with that motion to close the hearing, Ms. Knox?
Aye.
Ms. Napoli?
Aye.
Mr. Nordhaus?
Aye.
And Mr. Glavy is aye as well. Okay, we are, the hearing is closed. Thank you all for your input and your application. Board member deliberation, I know some of you folks opined during the hearing, that's fine, but if anyone wants to make a suggestion of how the board should act on this, I'll entertain any comments.
No, look, if I may, Mr. Chair.
Sure.
Once again, I want to compliment Mr. Patel on the store. I love the store. It's, once again, I'm there all the time. The problem I have personally is the last time we had an application about the area, we did not agree to it because we wanted to have that license go possibly to a different area in town that could be served. It would be over by the Groton line, or would it be by the air line, or down to the depot somewhere along the line. We wanted to retain that license for that purpose. That's why we denied the other one. I personally, although I understand the competition you have and everything, but it would be against my better judgment, since we already declined it, one for a business near you to come back now and say it's okay for you to have it, so that's where I'm standing.
All right. Well, I'll chime in for my part as well. I had, in reviewing this information and listening to the presentation, 4 concerns, one of which was addressed. If it were simply a concern about the amount of floor space that would be overtaken by spirits, I'm relieved that we would have the ability to restrict it as a license condition. But the other 3 concerns I have really have not been met. One is at the competitive level. It really makes the case that when the issue was raised by, in my mind anyway, by the applicant, that the entities cited don't have, they aren't relying on liquor licenses, beer, wine, or all alcohol as supermarkets, and that, so that really doesn't work for me as a competitive argument. In fact, Onlands were armed with a all-purpose alcohol license, and I think our smaller stores who are also selling alcohol at a competitive disadvantage. That's one point. The other one, which Mr. Knock just alluded to, I agree with as well, and that's, I would feel probably somewhat different about this if there weren't a limited quantity of liquor licenses that we could issue. If it weren't just a background check or anything that satisfied an applicant's worthiness of a license, and they were otherwise unlimited, but that's not the case, and that has become an issue with some of the other proposals that we've entertained before, we have said no on that basis. We've taken a position as a board, it may not be unanimous, but the majority opinion has been that we are mindful of the limited number of licenses we have to issue. We want to service, eventually all parts of the town by the use of those licenses. And the third point I would make too is that, Donald's good name may have been around for decades, but this new ownership here, and I hope they do as well here as Donald's did, that, they've been here at a business for 3 months. And I think I would like to see more of a track record before taking one of our limited licenses and giving it there to them to operate. So, not that would be a guarantee that I would be swayed on that anyway, but I'm inclined to say no at point reasons as well. So, Ms. Napoli, Mr. Nordhaus, either one of you folks want to chime in? I know you both spoke earlier.
Yeah, I don't have anything more to add. Thank you.
I have 3 very brief points. I think that, Mr. Vice Chair, to your comment on competitiveness, I believe the applicant was stating that the business at Donald's has been reduced as a result of Market Basket, and I don't think that they are claiming that Market Basket is selling all alcohol as much as saying any advantage that we can give them is going to improve it. I would say the second item is it's possible that the reason that last liquor license isn't being used is that there's no viable locations near the Groton line or the airline where someone can make a going concern of it. And I'm not sure that it's our position to dictate where a business can open. If it's not going to make money, it's not going to make money. So the third point is, with all respect to Great Road Liquors, and I understand his concern, I don't believe that Donald's is trying to steal customers away. As the applicant pointed out, they don't have a huge wine selection. I think that people are going to continue to go to the liquor stores for the wide variety of products available there. But if they want to purchase a bottle of gin at the store when they get their cupcakes and bread and milk, then so be it. I'm going to vote in favor of this.
Okay, thank you. If there's no other board input toward the deliberation, I would accept a motion from either direction.
I move that the select board vote to approve the requested change of category from wine and malt beverages to all alcoholic beverage license under Mass General Law, Chapter 138, Section 15, submitted by licensee Donald's Supermarkets, Inc., 236 Great Road, Littleton, Mass.
Okay, is there a second on that? Okay, not hearing one, the motion can't go forward without a second. Is there any other motion?
No.
No.
Do you want to read what you want for a motion?
Yeah. Move that the select board vote to deny the requested change of category from wine and malt beverages to all alcohol beverage license under Mass General Laws, Chapter 138, Section 15, submitted by licensee Donald's Supermarkets, Inc., 236 Great Road, Littleton, Mass.
Second.
Okay, motion's been made by Ms. Napoli, seconded by Mr. Knox, to deny the requested change of category. Any further discussion? Okay, then I will do a roll call vote again. Mr. Knox?
Aye, in favor of this motion.
Okay, Ms. Napoli?
Aye.
Okay, Mr. Nordhaus?
No.
Okay, and the chair is an aye as well. So the vote is 3 to Paul Glady votes no as well. Aye as well on the motion. So the motion carries to deny the requested change of category from wine and malt beverages to all alcoholic beverage license. All right, thank you all for your input. Appreciate it, thoroughness, the town departments involved in preparing us for this.
Good night, thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, Anthony, do you want to?
Sure, we're going to go back to department and board updates, and we have Myron Toohill, our town planner, who has a few items that she would like to discuss with the board.
Okay, thank you very much. I can see that you have 3 items, Lauren. I apologize that we kept you waiting, but you're in this business too, you know the drill.
Absolutely. Thank you for your time. Maren Toohill, Town Planner. 3 items for you tonight. The first is to ask the Select Board to authorize an application for a grant to update our hazard mitigation plan. The town's match would be $7,500. That request is in the current budget for FY23. And this would allow the town to utilize the federal grant funds to update our hazard mitigation plan. Happy to take any questions on this item.
Board members?
Nothing here.
No.
I have to find myself in my packet here, item 2C1. All right, let's have a motion attached with it. Mr. Clerk, would you care to make a motion for us?
I would care, yes. Move that the Select Board vote to authorize the town administrator to sign the FEMA grant application for funding and update to the town's hazard mitigation plan.
Second.
Okay, motion's made by Mr. Nordhaus, seconded by Ms. Napoli. Any further discussion? All those in favor say aye. Mr. Knopf?
Aye.
Ms. Napoli?
Aye.
Mr. Nordhaus?
Aye.
And Mr. Grady's an aye as well. Motion carries. Thank you.
All right, thank you very much. Number 2, the Planning Board would like to continue to utilize the services of Green International Affiliates for their peer reviews and for their construction inspections. In order to make that happen, we need a new master engineering services contract to be signed. And it's the Select Board's position to I was going to say be in charge of that, so didn't say that very well. But
To approve that contract.
yes,
request.
thank you, to approve that contract. Happy to take questions on that issue.
Curiosity question, Green, how long have they been doing this for the planning board?
6 years, I believe.
Okay, great, yeah, I thought they'd been around for a while, and obviously folks are happy with them.
Yes.
Okay. Any questions, board members, comments?
None here.
Mr. Clerk?
Move that the Select Board vote to authorize the town administrator to sign the master services agreement between the town of Littleton. Somebody just took my motion.
Oh, I'm
away.
sorry. Sorry about that, man. I was getting ready
Now I have
for,
to start all over.
sorry, hey, sorry.
It's all right, it's a
Oh, well, let me,
PowerPoint malfunction.
there we go, all right.
Here we go. Move that the Select Board vote to authorize the town administrator to sign the master services agreement between the town of Littleton and Green International Affiliates, Inc. for engineering peer review services to the planning board.
Second.
Okay, motion's been made by Mr. Nordhaus, seconded by Mr. Knopf. Any further discussion? All those in favor signify by saying aye. Mr. Knopf?
Aye.
Ms. Napoli?
Aye.
That abstention or not voting?
No, I said aye. Wait.
Oh, I'm sorry, I did not hear you.
Oh, sorry. No, I said
My
aye.
bad. That's all right, yep. Ms. Nordhaus?
Aye.
Okay, Mr. Lady's an aye as well, so the motion carries. Thank you. And item 2C3, Maren.
All right, now we get to the political football one. So I have a PowerPoint presentation I'm prepared to give.
Yep, we're gonna pull it up.
We'll hopefully run through that rather quickly. But Littleton has been designated as an MBTA community. How did we get here? Legislation enacted last January as part of the Economic Development Bill updated the State Zoning Act to require that MBTA communities zone to allow multifamily apartments, multifamily units near the commuter rail station. Draft guidelines for how communities would comply were issued on December 15th, 2021. We've been digesting those draft guidelines and prepared to present you with this information. So Littleton is not alone. The map on the screen shows all the different communities that are required to comply with the MBTA communities requirements. So what are the requirements? For Littleton, we must zone for multifamily housing within a half-mile of the Foster Street commuter rail station. You'll notice there is an asterisk there, and we'll get into what the exceptions can be just a little bit further down. Minimum zoning district size is 50 acres. At least half of the district must be within half-mile of the Foster Street station. Minimum number of new housing units that we have to zone for is 750 units. The zoning must be as of right, so no special permit can be required as part of the approval process. And the site must be able to be serviced by infrastructure such as water, electricity, sewer, and roadways. So now we get to the asterisk. So King Street Common, which is our new zoning district at 550 King Street, may qualify as part of the district. We are in the position to work with MHP, Mass Housing Partnership, to figure out if we can use the King Street Common District to help us comply with these new requirements. So the map on your screen now, I just took the parcel where the parking is for the commuter rail station, did half a mile perimeter around that, and those, we need to find at least 25 acres in that 730 acre that we can rezone to allow multifamily. So my point in this map is we do have a lot to choose from. We have a lot of area to work with. So what are the exceptions to the requirement for multifamily housing? There are a few exceptions, but Littleton is in a great spot, given all the planning work that we've done on King Street Common, Littleton form-based code, Littleton station area work. So, and then back to the asterisks. In unusual cases, the most appropriate location for a multifamily district may be in a land area that is further than half a mile of a transit station. So on the next slide, we know that it's about 2.5 miles from the commuter rail station to 550 King Street. But if we can connect those by alternative transit means, such as a shuttle, we should be able to count the new zoning at King Street Common to help us meet the guidelines. So what happens if we don't comply? So if we don't comply by December of 2023, we'd not be eligible for following grant programs. So literally for Littleton, this becomes the $6 to $20 million question because Mass Works grants and infrastructure grant programs are included in funding that we may not qualify if we don't comply with those requirements. But given all the work that we have done, it's clear that Littleton can comply and is in a position to comply within the time frame. So next slide is what do we need to do and when do we need to do it? So we reach out to Mass Housing Partnership on being a compliance test case. Mass Housing Partnership has let me know that they're willing to work with us and provide some guidance on several different ways we can get to compliance. Several of us attended the initial training opportunity that happened on January 12th. The next step is to submit the community information form, and that's in progress. And the other dates you can see up there, just have to keep moving forward on it. So, and happy to take questions from you on it.
Perfect. Thank you very much, Myron. Our board members then, anyone wish to speak on this? Help me out, Anthony, I can't see everybody.
Sure. One thing, if I may add, before the Cindy and Joe may say something, there's actually two modes of transportation, bus transportation that goes there besides the Malt shuttle, which is suspended. There's also the Lowell Regional Transit Authority's bus that, to this day, if you drive by there in the morning, it's still parked there, even though there's nothing in the building, they still have that as a route. So I just want to mention that there's that other mode of transportation besides Mart.
Yeah, thank you, very good point.
I just actually saw that the other day, and I thought that was curious, but you're right, it still goes there.
Yeah,
If I may, Mr. Chair, I have some questions.
Sure. Ms.
Maren, thanks for putting this together, appreciate it. So I do have a couple questions. I read through your PowerPoint presentation, and I read through the draft compliance guidelines provided by the state. And I just, to begin, you can have more than one zoning district, right? It doesn't need to be, they actually, I thought, said within the guidelines, they discourage having this type of zoning at one spot for one development, one project.
Yes, certainly, it can be across several different locations.
Okay. The other question I had, I wanted to know, how did we arrive at the 750 units? What was the calculation for that?
Yeah, the 700, that's a very good question, because as you probably figured out, if we go straight with the percentages from the state, then it would be a lower number for us, but every community, every MBTA community has a floor of 750 units. Must be a minimum of 750 units.
Because I didn't read that in the requirements. I read it, that's interesting, because I saw that they gave you a whole formula to use.
Exactly.
Depending on the type of community you are, because not every community is a commuter rail community, and they have like the 4 different categories.
Yep. 2 ways to look at that. One, if you happen to go to the state website, it gives a table with all of the requirements for each community, and a big bold note saying that minimum is 750 units. The other way to look at it is they require a minimum of 50 acres to be zoned at a minimum of 15 units per acre. So that comes out to a minimum of 750 units.
Right. So it's 50 acres to be zoned, or don't they reduce that if it's within the proximity of a of the commuter rail station?
No, no.
I thought they reduced it down to 1/10 of the land area if they were in
No, 50 acres is 1/10 of a land. If you take a point and do half-mile circle around a point, that's about, okay, so what number works out? That's about 500 acres.
Okay.
And so they're saying that 50 acres would need to be zoned.
Okay.
That's the minimum size.
Okay. So we can have more than one site. It doesn't need to all be one site, one property. They actually said in there that they discouraged that. What do they call it? They said, one other thing, I forget exactly what term they used. But the other thing I wanted to ask too, so Littleton's a housing choice community. We've been above 12% SHI for as long as I can remember. We built or we permitted to allow the development on, what was it, Great Road? 15 Great Road, years ago, right? So that provided exactly the type of housing that this legislation's hoping to promote or support across the Commonwealth. Is there any way that we can go back to the state and say to them, hey, you know what, we've already got this type of development, even though it doesn't fit all the categories, doesn't check all the boxes for the requirements of this legislation, but just make them aware that we already do have that type of development in our town, that we are a commuter rail community. We do have plans to already in the works to develop around the train station area. And just see if there's any, do they have like any leeway that they're offering communities? It just seems so black and white to me. And I just can't imagine that every community is going to be able to meet these requirements.
The state is offering quite a bit of leeway. Part of that is you can have a split district. We should be able to count 550 King Street for at least part of it. And that leaves us with a minimum of 25 acres near the commuter rail station that should be rezoned for multifamily housing at a minimum of 15 units per acre.
Because the requirements are multifamily housing that's not age restriction and suitable for families. So that was my understanding, that 550 King Street was going to be more workforce development type housing, and that their business model wasn't really geared towards building housing for families. So I just don't understand how 550 King Street would fit the requirements that the state set out.
Yeah, I think I understand where you're coming from on that. At 550 King Street, there will be no restrictions on the number of children, and I would imagine that we will have to, the town should consider allowing at least 10% of the units at 550 King Street to be 3-bedroom units. And that way we'll be able to count any affordable units on our subsidized housing inventory.
And to sort of add into that, getting at your first question, that may be something that we as the town of Littleton may want to provide for public comment to the state. They're accepting public comment through March 18th?
End of March, I believe.
So that may be something between Select Board and Planning Board, that while we evaluate how Littleton may comply, there may be some things like we've really worked exceptionally hard to provide affordable housing, and that there should be some form of recognition, either some sort of delay. So that may be something that we want to provide in public comment. And Maren was entirely correct in that, that this is talking about where there's a restriction already in place, senior housing bylaw that maybe some towns may want to use to sort of restrict right off the bat. That's where they basically say those types of limitations can't be in place. And the state was basically saying, because there's many cities and communities closer to Boston that do have over 10%. The state, when we were on that call, sort of a presentation about the guidelines, was basically saying that they're specifically concentrating around commuter rail, that they were looking at other areas that maybe are serviced by a transit stop or bus line as far as providing that additional level. But this is really more of a stick approach than other efforts. Housing choice, as an example, was really more of a carrot, giving if you adopted certain bylaw changes, approved certain developments, saw building, you had more access to grants. Here, it basically is, you're going to comply or we're going to restrict funds. For towns that have done so much like we have, that may be something we want to provide as comment.
Right. No, and I totally, right, exactly. The way I'm looking at this, to be honest with you, Maren, is we've checked every box. We have gone over and beyond as a community, I feel, to provide housing. We've adopted every bylaw that the state's brought forward, inclusionary zoning bylaws, everything that we've done that we could do, that they've recommended we do, to create housing, to create affordable housing, to provide housing for seniors. And I just feel like, okay, so now we've got this that we're looking at, and we're very fortunate that we have, exciting that we have 550 King Street, but I just feel like I don't understand why we're deflecting this onto 550 King Street and possibly creating more housing at 550 King Street than might ordinarily come before us, possibly. When really reading through what I read through today, it's really designed, they really want to build up housing around a commuter rail station, which we have one. So in that case, Littleton's not really an exception to this, because we have a commuter rail station that we could easily, that we've already been working towards developing. We already have that availability. I know some communities don't, and those communities were what they considered an exception, but I just feel like I just don't want to see there be a shift in focus on 550 King Street for something like this. When it was geared and designed for development around the commuter rail station. I just, this is a big thing. 750 housing units mandated by the state's a big thing. And I just want to make sure that we do go back to the state and say, look, we've already done our share, we've done a lot, and see if they will take some of that into consideration, because we're talking about a lot of housing potentially in two parts of town. And it's a little bit overwhelming, I think. And I think we just really need to be cognizant of it. And I don't want to, go forward with something like this and have this come back at us and say, you know what, the focus is 550 King Street just because there's a shuttle bus that goes from the Common to the commuter rail station. To me, that's kind of a stretch. And I think really we should go back to the focus of the commuter rail station and why this was brought forward by the state to begin with. So I appreciate your answering my questions. I got to look back and find out where that 750 is. So they mandated that for all communities, the 750?
Is the
Yes.
minimum, correct?
So even like a town like Carlisle
Yep.
is required for 750? That
Town
is
where I live in
crazy.
doesn't have commuter rail. It's
Yeah.
an adjacent community to a commuter rail station.
Yep.
We have to provide 750.
Wow. Well, I think it's at least worth having a conversation with the state and just saying, you know what, we've already put in a 40B. And that was to be the master of our 40B destiny, right? How many years were we saying that? And now here we are, once again, right back to square one and being held to the same standards as other communities that probably haven't done as much as we have with housing production. So I just want to be cognizant of that. So, thank you.
Thank you. The board members, I'm champing a bit to speak myself, but I'm trying to, from a distance, be the acting chair, so I'm refraining. But Matthew, do you have anything to add?
I have a question for Maren, and this is not a well-formed question, so I apologize. How does the density and requirements line up with our existing zoning? In other words, how far out of our existing sort of restrictions is this, and how much denser, how much more? Does that make sense?
Yeah, most of the land area, developable land area near the commuter rail station is zone commercial industrial, so we're 0% there. If we were to, I did take a look at the 40R proposal that did not end up going to June town meeting. That would come close to meeting the requirements. So if
Like I'm sorry, that would come close to satisfying them in their entirety?
Close. But
Okay. Thank you.
Okay, Joe Knox, did you have anything that you wanted to, I can't see you, so I don't know.
Yeah, just quickly, Mr. Vice Chair, I agree with almost everything that Cindy was talking about. We've gone overboard, not overboard, we've fulfilled our requirement and continue to do so. Your Committee on Housing is still looking at things, but weekly, if bi-weekly. So I just find it hard that a state would come back and say, this is the number you have to have no matter what. And then the 750 is way out of line as far as I'm concerned. I don't have the problem that you do about if we can use part of the 550 King Street to alleviate some of that, so it's not all in one place. The question I have for you, Maren, is you had that map up that had the half mile from, would that include the land that's across Taylor Street, that I think it's marketed by Gutierrez?
that would be just outside of the half a mile.
Because I thought that might be, I mean, once again, Cindy, you hit so many points that I agreed upon that, that we continue to work toward housing, and we know it's needed, but to have a number thrown at us like that is just out of the world as far as I'm concerned.
Yeah, the state did go out of their way during the training to note that they're not asking for the housing production of it, they're asking for the zoning to be put in place.
Thank you. All set? Yeah, Chair.
Thank you. All right. I've actually got a question first and then my own comments after. The question I would appreciate if both Anthony and Maren would chime in to the extent that they're aware. I'd be very curious to know what other communities are doing, since this has landed, a few weeks to a month now, in a lot of people's laps. In my case, unexpectedly, I didn't know this was coming. I imagine there are a lot of municipal officials who are in the same surprise. And do either one of you have a sense? I know it's a shame we just would have come back from the MMA and we would all know because we would have had a chance to, socialize with our colleagues in other communities. Do you folks have any idea of what's going on in terms of other communities' reaction to this? Is there anything MMA level response to it, or individually affected communities? How are they handling this?
Yeah, so Paul, great points. I think that, we would have had an opportunity to talk to our colleagues at the conference, but their MMA is still hosting another Zoom conference. I just got the email on that today that I can forward out, so we could register for just that conference. I think it might be just an hour session out of a day. So, other than that, I think it's really fairly new, and we haven't gotten together as managers in the Managers Association to even had an opportunity to talk about this. So I'm gonna sign up for that session and see what comes out of that and what type of questions and comments are being asked by those in attendance. And certainly I think I can raise some of Cindy's questions that were brought up tonight.
Maren, are you aware of anything particularly new?
No, not yet.
Okay. All right. I guess with part of all my colleagues' thoughts on this, I from the presentation, I'm just a little taken aback with the test case compliance. It's just such a new concept, and before the dust is settled in a lot of places, I wouldn't be rushing to sign up for anything along those lines. And the idea of, we're all basking in the support for the 550 King Street plans as writ large, and by large, I think everybody understood that there's a pretty big housing component there, but it's largely market rate, and I'd be a little skittish, more than a little skittish, about seeing the prospect of that number growing even larger, and especially if we haven't given full consideration of what's the best way to comply for the town with this mandate, should it land as it is. That before we ever had the welcome overtures of the folks that are going to be developing 550 King Street, before we ever had this mandate from the state, we already had, some things going on locally about doing housing around the train station. Granted, there's a lot of concerned citizens and a lot of legitimate concerns being raised, but before anybody else ventured in and told us we should be building housing near the train station, we were looking at doing it anyway. And there's a lot of properties up there that are in flux. What Joe just raised with the Gutierrez site, it's a shame that that's outside of the arrangement, because boy, that would be a logical site to put some of this, and perhaps if we were going to be looking for any kind of waiver or zone, that's something to be considered. I just think I wouldn't want to see us rush into committing to one approach yet. Their timeline, the state's timeline, gives us quite a while to think about this, and I think we could take full advantage of that. So those are my thoughts at the moment. All right, I guess I get the final word on it. We are running late. I can blame that all on me if he wants. That's fine.
Okay, we will.
We will.
All right. I'm going to try to catch up on some of that time too, as moving forward. Anthony, there are 3 more items under the department board updates and requests that look like they can be relatively quickly handled. Is that right?
Yes, we do have John Folsom here from the Clean Lakes.
One more?
Corey Gottfried and Matt Silverman are also on that.
The Clean Lakes Grid, okay, yeah, Don, you're the spokesman for the group, you give you a chance to stretch your legs after you've been having to.
Thank you.
For a while now.
Thanks, John.
More than thank you. It's been a long sit.
Thank you. Joe, you let Corey and Matt in?
I did.
Okay. Thank you.
What John's passing out the same deal we had in our packet, or is this something?
I'm sorry, Paul, you don't have this packet. This just came
Okay.
together today, some financial information and,
Please leave a copy for me and I'll get it. In the meantime, I'll get your word.
happy to. Would like to discuss this evening, with everyone, the developments at, regarding.
Excuse me. Well, we all know you. For our audience, could you just kind of identify yourself by name and address and your affiliation?
I'm John Folsom. I'm the chairman of the Clean Lakes Committee in town. I live at 21 Lakeshore Drive, overlooking Long Pond.
Thank you.
Certainly, I'm sorry for the omission. But tonight, we're concerned with Mill Pond. We've been working with the Army Corps of Engineers for going on what seems to be about 20 years, trying to come up with a scheme that would allow us to primarily dredge and clean up the silting that has taken effect in a few of the basins there. Some of our schemes of recent have led us towards an approach where we could pump out the streams that are more easily accessible, take that dredge material and send it out towards the juncture of Route 2 and 495 to infill some of the other basins that have silted in almost entirely and have been populated by invasive weeds and growth, and thereby trying to turn that into an emergent woodland area. Most recently, the Army Corps of Engineers made a presentation, preliminary presentation, of their proposal, of our proposal, to the state, the powers that be, Department of Environmental Protection and so on. And they were not receptive at all to this plan. They are afraid that some of the dredge material would in fact ease its way or ooze its way back down into the dredged areas, so that would foil our cleanup. And plus, they found that there is a rare species of plant that would be disturbed by this transport of wet material, and so it kind of derails the entire scheme. We heard from Adam Burnett, our rep, our leader at the Army Corps of Engineers, back in October, and he expressed his concern at this development that the state would not allow them to proceed with the plans as we had agreed to put together. And since they felt that we had no other, we didn't, as a town, we did not accept the idea of, say, dismantling the dam, any other kind of radical idea about major renovations or restoration of that whole area to a stream rather than a number of ponds, that the Army Corps of Engineers would in fact break their partnership with us and leave this job in our hands. This struck us as very disturbing, and quite by surprise, this process was initiated back in the middle of December. We had just met for the month about a week or so prior to that, so it's been January before we were able to act. Thank you, Anthony, for your prompt response about getting an extension. We had tried to request that, but of course wanted to really go through the town, the select board, and we are finding ourselves in a position where we can do quite a lot with the money we have in terms of addressing the situation at Mill Pond, but of course the Army Corps of Engineers was going to provide 2/3 of the restoration funds. So dredging for us for now is out. And we couldn't consider that without the deep pockets of the federal government and the U.S. Army Corps of Engineers. Wanted to bring this to you as we are approaching the time when they're going to terminate their partnership with us, the Army Corps, and say we're distressed about this. We're disappointed that after so many years of trying to resolve issues, that this preliminary investigation has found, well, we really can't do what we'd like to do, and we're kind of hamstrung at this point. The paperwork that I've given you, a map just to orient you on the Mill Pond, the two major bodies that flank the Harwood Avenue Bridge are the two bodies that would be receiving the most attention, and then as it trails down to the south towards the junction of Route 2 and 495, that would be the area where we had planned to pump some of the spoils from the dredging operation, and pump that through Basin 1, which is of course the large basin, and then through Basin 2 through a pipeline. But this does not seem to be moving forward. After all was said and done, it's an immense project that we were trying to undertake, and it doesn't seem as though right now it's going to go anywhere. The paperwork beyond the map, some minutes from our October meeting that summarized some of the findings that we had discovered with the Army Corps as we met with Adam Burnett, and he explained his presentation to the state agencies, the stakeholder meeting. If you look on that page, stakeholder meeting was held by the U.S. Army Corps of Engineers in April. It's attended by representatives of the U.S. Environmental Protection Agency, Massachusetts Department of Environmental Protection, the Massachusetts Wildlife Department. Adam Burnett confirmed that there was a lot of pushback from state agencies. There's some from the EPA also, but they don't have regulatory role in a project. A concern, as I mentioned before, about the pumping material upstream, because this would be converting it to a different type of wetlands. They now feel the need to meet requirements for ecosystem restoration, and they aren't certain that it does. There's concern that deposited material be carried back downstream. Some of the concern of the pond would fill back in with plants again, as it did previously. So, and it goes on, a whole other page of dissent. And unfortunately, in as much as we had sort of modeled this project on a job that the Army Corps of Engineers had done with the Milford town of Milford and their pond maybe a decade ago, the State Department said that had they reviewed that now, they wouldn't have allowed them to do that either. So we're sort of hamstrung.
Can I interject here, Jonathan?
Certainly, Paul.
Yeah, okay. And hearing you talk, I apologize, but it just occurs to me that it sounds very frustrating, disappointing where you're at. Is there, would you consider it at an end with the Army Corps of Engineers, or do you think we've exhausted the opportunities? Because I know in the past, years ago, when we first did Mill Pond, at the time, this kind of world repeats itself, Congressman Meehan happened to be sitting on the Armed Services Committee and was very helpful in getting them in there in the first place. Well, flash forward to 2022, Congresswoman Strahan is also on Armed Services Committee, and if we haven't yet at least made an attempt to speak to her and her office about helping on this, we probably ought to do that.
I would agree entirely, Paul. I was hoping that we would move in that direction and at least reach out and alert people to the situation. And yet it's the approval.
I have to return a call to her district manager anyways tomorrow, so on another matter, so I'll
that's wonderful.
Perhaps we should, yeah, well, I'll rely on Anthony maybe to give me that information. We'll connect with you before we do that, but I wouldn't, let's not consider that a done deal. That's too important.
That's great. Our primary concern, of course, is not with the Army Corps of Engineers, it's with the state approval agencies. As the Army Corps is coming through with their preliminary work here, and making their suggestions, it's getting the big thumbs down statewide, so we would not be approved. We have to come up with another
Okay.
scheme. It would seem, so.
All right, well, I'd rather we want to try to brainstorm on that tonight perhaps, but it is an important topic. We'll follow up with that. Compare notes and see who we need to talk to and who of our state or federal officials may be able to help us out on that. What do you think?
We'd be delighted to have that kind of assistance, Paul, thank you.
Okay, great.
The last, one of the last items was just, oh, I'm sorry, the next to the last item in the package that I put together here was a letter to the Chief Kennelly of the Army Corps of Engineers, who wrote us of their termination. And this was from the CLC, from Matt Silverman and I, in terms of a number of points that we'd like clarified for further review. And then, of course, the last is just the financial commitment that the town has made to this point, $135,000 or so. And we'd like to see at least the deliverables from that. If not able to proceed altogether, we'd be delighted.
Okay. Again, would you consider those two of a kind of commonality there? Those topics?
Yes, Paul, yeah.
Okay.
We didn't want to send that as a committee. We wanted to have it move through the select board.
Good. Well, we can definitely follow up with that, right? Anthony, you want to remind me that we need to see how best to address those issues?
Yes, we can do that, and certainly with Corey's help and Matt Silverman, who's on the call as well, I know they've live and breathe this much more than Joe and I, so I'd rely upon their expertise to guide us in those conversations.
All right. I know there is another part of your presentation tonight, Jonathan, relative to the Inter-Municipal agreement. You prepared to speak to that too?
No, I'm going to hand over the mic to my compatriot, Dave Barr. He's going to speak on the issue because he lives over there.
Perfect, thank you.
I'll leave you the paperwork. Well,
all right, we'll be talking again soon.
Also for Matthew, can I jump over that?
Sure, thank you. Thanks, Jonathan.
Hi. My name is David Barr. I'm on the Clean Lakes Committee. I'm president of the Friends of Forge Pond also. I'm also a member of the Westford Healthy Lakes and Ponds Collaborative. And several years ago, the Clean Lakes Committee and then Middleton's town meeting approved funding for some work on the outlet channel for Lake Mattawanakie, Forge Pond. And Westford also did the same this last summer. And so the project is to open up the outlet channel a bit to allow for more effective winter drawdowns, which are used to try to control invasive plant species in the lake to improve the ecology and provide a better recreational experience on the lake. And at this point, the project has been bid out by Westford, and they have a contractor that they're working to put a contract together with. And in order for the work to go forward, there's an intermunicipality agreement that needs to be approved so that Westford and Littleton will together share 50-50 the cost of the project up to $20,000 apiece, which is what both Littleton and Westford have allocated for that through the town meetings. So the request.
Thank you, Mr. Barr. Anthony, did you have a chance to review that intermunicipal agreement?
We have, and it's something that we've looked at, we have no issues. Matt Silverman and Corey looked at it, they also saw no issues with that.
Okay. Board members on any of this topic, I apologize for not recognizing you earlier. If you were looking to speak, address any of these related pond and lake topics?
No comment.
Okay, great. I see Matthew Silverman, Matthew Salem out there. Either one of you folks looking to speak on this?
Mr. Chair, this is Matthew Salem. I'm the Conservation Resource Planner in Westford. I just appreciate the Select Board's time in considering this, and I think it's a good project that will certainly improve Forge Pond on our side of the line. And Dave did a great job explaining it, and that's all I have. Thank you.
Great. And as he reminded us, the town Littleton town meeting has already said yes to this monetarily, so would we to be say otherwise? So, Mr. Clerk, would you do have a motion before us? You need to unmute yourself, Matthew.
Yes, thank you. Move that the Select Board vote to approve the intermunicipal agreement with the town of Westford for the improvement of the Lake Mattawanakee Forge Pond Outlet Channel.
Second.
Motion's been made by Mr. Nordhaus, seconded by Ms. Napoli. Any further discussion? All those in favor, Mr. Knox?
Aye.
Mrs. Napoli?
Aye.
Mr. Nordhaus?
Aye.
Mr. Glavy is an aye as well. Thank you, folks from the Lakes Committee. You do great work, and we appreciate the update. We know we've got some follow through to do with you on the earlier topic regarding Mill Pond.
Okay, thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you all.
Thank you both. We'll make sure he gets this, John.
Anthony,
Yeah, next up is patiently waiting is Interim Fire Chief Clancy, who was, I think, trying to sneak up there before, but I think that was just an error. That was just an error.
It was a trial run, just a practice run.
Mr. Chair, can I comment? Any chance we can put him off to the end of the meeting?
I'm all for it. You're buying. So, thank you, Interim Chief Tom Clancy. I reside at 20 Foster Street, and thank you for seeing me this evening, members of the board, Joe and Anthony. So at the end of, in the fall of 21, there was a Department of Fire Services grant, firefighter safety equipment grant that came out. I applied, and this month, the town of Littleton was awarded $8,761.24 to be used to help purchase some battery-operated extrication equipment. Last year, we received a similar grant that we used to purchase a set of extrication spreaders. The Light Department gave us a community grant to purchase a set of cutters, and this would be used for an extrication tool called the RAM. It's a $5 million grant through the Department of Fire Services offered to all towns. It's very competitive. This is year 2 of a 5-year program for this, and because of the competitive nature, not the funding, you didn't get funded for the whole thing. You got a portion. We get 84% of the cost of the tool. The rest I could get into my budget. I'm looking for the board to give me the permission to move forward and accept the grant and purchase the tool.
okay. Board members, any questions, comments?
Nope.
Nope.
All right, Mr. Nordhaus?
I move that the Select Board vote to accept the fiscal year 22 firefighter safety grant award in the amount of $8,761.24, and to authorize the town administrator to sign the necessary paperwork.
Second.
Okay, motion's been made by Mr. Nordhaus, seconded by Ms. Napoli. Any further discussion? All in favor? Mr. Knox?
Aye.
Ms. Napoli?
Aye.
Mr. Nordhaus?
Aye.
And Mr. Glavely's an aye as well. Thank you, Pete, for hanging in there with.
No problem. Thank you very much, everyone. And if I can, I just want to recognize
Anthony, I believe next.
the members of the department on what a job they did last week when we had half my department out with, and my career department out with COVID. We had step up from the call membership and everyone else, and we continue on providing service to the town of Littleton. So I just wanted to recognize them. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Appreciate
You sure
that.
do. Thank you very much. Okay, Anthony, is Land Use Director Mullen, is he up next? Is that?
He is, and this is, we agended this topic just so the board can hear an update as a result of the commissioner and Michelle going to the Board of Health meeting. I think they have some feedback that we've shared with the board, and so tonight was just to hear that, and I spoke with Chair Baker, who I think he sent an email off to the board, I forwarded it to you today, that he's requesting a joint meeting on February 7th to give some ideas that they might have on this. So tonight's really just to hear that this is the only portion that we agended, is to hear this update from Ed.
Certainly there's, we can obviously accommodate, I hope we can accommodate the Board of Health on the 7th, but there's no reason that they and Ed and Michelle and yourself can try to work out some of that stuff in the advance of that. I would welcome that, frankly.
Okay.
Thank you, Select Board, and thank you, Vice Chair, for hearing us tonight. Real quick, went to the last Board of Health meeting on this topic of Health Director / Health Agent. In my original presentation to the town and voted and approved at town meeting was to, in the reorg, to hire a health agent. There's been several conversations and debate, and, offline conversations which I've had with individual Board of Health members to move forward with the health agent. Their last meeting, they suggested that they move forward with a health director position. I have since sent an email to the town administrator and the HR director saying that although I agree that the town should probably move in that direction, the pace is too quick, and that it makes more sense, in my opinion, as the Director of Land Use and Buildings, to go for a health agent now, move in that direction, and then move forward with the health director at a later date, down the road. That being said, that's my only update. I think the Board of Health is looking to speak to you, Chairman Baker, about what he sees as the positives going forward with a health director. But one important topic that didn't get sussed out in all this is that while we're working on this is we don't want to forget about the public health nurse position as part of that initiative in the reorganization. And I would just ask that if we can consider moving forward with the draft that's been, I provided, then Joe Layton has provided a draft edit. And I know Michelle was working on it till the last minute tonight before she came down to circulate with you guys to try to get an approval for at least the public health, where I don't think, the public health nurse, where I don't think there's any debate between the boards on that position. That's what I have for tonight. Turn it over to Michelle if she has any comments.
Certainly, Mr. Chair, we could work on that public health nurse and have that ready for your review on February 7th. Hearing what Ed just said.
Anything to look at sooner than that? I always appreciate getting things in as advance as possible for consideration.
We can get that out.
Yeah, but of course.
Is it different than what we looked at before?
The public health nurse draft has been.
It's really, sorry.
No,
Michelle Vibert, Human Resources Director. So what's been done to date since you've last seen it is really just formatting. It's a lot of just cleanup work, formatting, but substantive work has not been changed.
Okay, thanks.
Perfect. Okay. Oh, we'll see everybody again on the 7th and perhaps see something in advance of that in writing?
Yes.
Perfect. Thank you. And if I may, normally we like to compliment our staff. This time I'd like to pay a compliment forward and pay it up to Joe Layton, who brought this to my attention tonight, to make sure we didn't pass the public health nurse. So, thank you.
Excellent.
Okay, we are well past the intended time for this, but I wouldn't want to pass over it without an opportunity for public input and members updates. So we'll start with the public input. Starting in the room there, Anthony, anyone there that's looking to address the board?
Nope, there is nobody, Mr. Chair.
Okay, and again, for those that may be calling in then on Zoom or whatever, we have a limited amount of time, 10 minutes in totality, and each individual speaker no longer than 2 minutes. So anybody out there, Joe or Anthony?
Yeah, we have one actually, Mr. Chair, Kimberly Mayo.
Okay. While not a resident, as far as the record show, I'll ask her to speak as long as she keeps it on within the 2 minutes and on a topic of interest to the town.
Okay, well. How do I do that, Joe?
Just allowed to talk. I got kicked off the last
I know,
one, so
I'm
just
trying to do it, and I'm having a problem now. We're trying to work through some technical issues. Mr. Chair, do you want to hear board members while we try to fix this, or you want to just?
Okay, why don't we do that then, especially in the interest of time, we'll go around the loop then. Mr. Nordhaus, do you have any member updates for the board?
I do. It's more of the form of a question. I would really like to get an update on the station area long property from the planning board. Because I want to know where we are with putting that bylaw back onto a future warrant, especially in light of the presentation that Mara gave us today. A lot of residents have been asking me about the status of that project, so I told them I would request a formal update. Maybe the planning board can give us one in the next couple of weeks. I also know that Chuck and Anthony met with Sal with the state about 550 King Street, so it would be great to have an agenda update on the 550 King Street project as well. I think all of us are very keen on understanding and this project. I think it's very important to Littleton, and everybody feels that way.
Couldn't agree with you more on both topics. All right, Mrs. Napoli.
Sure, thank you, Mr. Chair. I just wanted to update the board about the Nagog Hill Orchard. We have been working on the RFP for the orchard and have gotten through the first portion of that document. We're planning to have something to present to the board, hopefully within the coming weeks. Some recommendations for the language in the RFP as well as the lease. So we're making good progress on that, and we have issued the RFP for the pruning. And we're just waiting to see what responses we get to that RFP within the next coming weeks as well. So things are moving along very nicely with that initiative. It's a great group. I know that you're on the committee with me as well, Paul, but it's really a very productive and good group working together. So we'll have more for you on.
I can't understand it. We get a lot done here.
I know.
Get pulled out an hour.
Right. Yeah, so February we'll definitely have more to bring back before the board. So that's it.
Okay, thank you. Okay, Mr. Knox?
I'm all set today.
Yeah, and I am as well. Anthony, have you got the situation sorted out with the?
Yes, I'm gonna let Ms. Mayo speak. Right now, you should be all set.
Thank you, Anthony. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Again, Kim Mayo, 140 Harwood. I'd like to share a message of hope. I urge citizens to encourage good candidates to run for May's Select Board election to replace what we have now. It pays well, and my wish is people with integrity, a sensibility to preserve and protect, and moderate views. Specifically, a passion for conservation and improving our dismal protected open space ranking, and also someone to champion a historic district and put to rest the noise of preferential treatment of the Foster rezone. Littleton ranks 6th of 351 mass towns for the most newly developed land, and we're struggling with overdevelopment's consequences, including higher property taxes that result. When I was a little girl, I attended a circus in Littleton, Whitcomb Field, Big Top, elephants, and clowns. Years later, a circus of a different kind remains. It's some of our current select and planning board members. Town boards are not to be used for personal gain. Emails obtained through Freedom of Information show that Mr. Montanaro used the personalized 242 King email to conduct town business.
We're not going to allow
Station Village.
ad hoc attacks. No, I'm sorry. That's outside of the bounds of what we're going to do. If you do have legitimate complaints to make about anybody, then you have a certain right to go ahead and get that forward. But hitting on an individual who's not even present at this meeting by name on some allegations, we're not in a position to address, and it is not fair game. You want to talk about criticism of the board in general, fine, but personal attacks, no, thank you. So you welcome to continue.
I muted her, Mr. Chair, if I may.
I don't think we need to.
You're welcome to continue, but just stay away from the personal attacks.
Okay.
I'd like to share the results of my Freedom of Information Act emails. I feel that's within my rights with open meeting law and also the ACLU protected free speech. So I want to go ahead and, it's not a personal attack if it's factual. It's a factual information about a town board member. I can redact his name if that makes you feel better, Mr. Glavy.
I just wasn't sure where you're going with any of this, so I'm not in a position
It's
to corroborate.
factual, and if anybody would like a copy, I'm happy to give it to them. nostationvillage@aol.com, and I'll provide.
By all means, continue, but please wrap it up.
Thank you. I'm being very professional and I'm almost done. Please don't take off the time that was interrupted. I only have about a minute left. We've gone through this before. The owner of the Foster Station Village asked this person to read a special memo. The rest of the board was not copied on the memo favor, yet the landowner, who also served in town committee, copied his family construction firm. I'd also like examination of the timing of sale at 242 King Street, which may be the same day as a legally announcement. It appears also that other selectmen have been arrested, profited off real estate, and declared bankruptcy. And 2 of our planning board members are completely unprofessional in their behavior during town meetings. Now we have Hager Homestead, which is YIMBYism at its worst. The landowner was thanked by a former selectman online for being a big sponsor of Littleton. A 15-acre, 1700s-era period home is soon to get lots of new infill right next to wetlands and meadows. Affordable housing is very important, but it's a buzzword that's used to sell another project. And I'm not sure if the units really will be affordable, and will they actually go to 10, will the 10 units actually go to Littleton residents designated as affordable? So in conclusion, replacing much of our existing select and planning boards and upholding the code of ethics, town boards again are not to be used for personal gain, will go a long way in improving our great town. Thank you and Happy New Year.
Okay, all right then. Is there anyone else out there? Joe, Anthony?
That's it, Mr. Chair. That's all we have.
Okay, great. Then we'll move on to, hopefully, the good folks from Anthony's Coal-Fired Pizza are with us, either in person or via Zoom. Are they there, Anthony?
I'm going to check right now.
I'm jumping around, but I thought next, if we get back on track, next item, the Inter Manager.
Yes, 1 second.
She has her hand raised.
Okay. Is Libby and Libby, is there anybody else? Michael Helvitz?
Michael he was on here earlier. I'm not hoping he's still on here with me.
He is.
Okay, I can go ahead and present the application if it pleases the board.
Okay, and whoever is doing this, while we're not in a public hearing mode, please identify yourself and whatever level of detail you think would be helpful both to the board in making its determination and for the public at large.
Sure. Good evening, Chairman, members of the board. My name is Elizabeth Pisano from Upton, Cornell, and Devlin, counsel for Anthony's Coal-Fired Pizza. This application is for a change of manager. The proposed manager is Michael Helvitz. He has been with the company since October of 2021. He is a U.S. resident and he lives in Littleton. He is familiar with the rules and regulations relating to the sale of alcohol, and he has he has prior history in the restaurant industry. He worked for California Pizza Kitchen as a general manager for about 15 years in the past. So he is familiar and he has plenty of experience. And if you have any other questions for us, we're happy to answer them.
Okay, again, and I apologize. Libby, what is your affiliation with the applicants? What's your role?
Counsel. I'm the attorney.
Counsel, thank you. All right, I was assuming that, and I was looking through my packet to see if I could find your name on one of the forms I didn't get. But
Oh, Joe Devlin is probably on there.
that's what I saw. I saw Attorney Devlin.
I'm his associate.
All right. Okay. Mr. Helmets, I see is with us too. Would you like to speak and tell us a little about yourself? That we haven't already heard?
Can you hear me?
Yes.
My name is Michael Helmets. I have been a Littleton resident for just about 11 years. With my wife and family, we live on Spartanhour Road. I have a long career in the restaurant industry. I was a previous general manager for California Pizza Kitchen in different towns and states for many years. And I just joined Anthony's back in October, like you heard.
Okay, great. And your belt, we're very familiar, no doubt, your past experience with the, I'm forgetting the acronym for the, meaning for servers and all that.
Yes.
The Mass Restaurant Association, I think it is, but in any event, you're certified, no?
I have to be recertified.
Okay.
And that is something that we're in the process of doing.
Okay. All right, Anthony, you included in the packet information from the applicants and I believe also input from the police chief, is that right?
That's correct. The chief has no issues.
Okay, great. And we haven't had any issues with these coal-fired pizza as well in the past couple of years either, I don't believe, right?
No, there was an issue, there was an email from Chief Pinard to Anthony's requesting that they just touch base with him so he can have an opportunity to meet the new manager and then go over a couple of, I think we've had some excessive false alarms to Anthony's that he may want to address.
Okay. You hear that, Mr. Helmets?
I did, and I responded to Chief Pinard this evening when I received his email, and I will be meeting with him at some point this week or next week.
Great. Okay, great. And would we need Anthony to make vote contingent on the recertification that Mr. Helmets said he's in the process of getting, or do you think that's necessary to include that in the language here?
You know, I think it's a good idea to include that, Mr. Chair.
All right, then we're gonna need that language in the motion there somewhere for Matthew to.
Right.
So help me out, what's the name of the certification where I'm forgetting here?
Is it the tips?
That's the one, tips, thank you.
Got it, okay.
And that should be relatively easy to do online, correct? So.
Yeah, it shouldn't be a problem.
Right.
We just always require that of liquor license establishment managers.
Sure. Yep, no
Okay.
problem.
Board members, any questions? Matthew, Cindy,
Nope.
Joe?
Nope.
Okay. Then, are you ready to make a motion?
If someone will provide me with the official name of the TIPS certification, is it just the Massachusetts TIPS certification?
Yeah, usually, I mean, correct me if I'm wrong, Michael, but usually it's just a TIPS, it's literally tips. Unless, Michael, is there one that Anthony uses specifically throughout all the chains?
Not that I am aware of. I believe that for each state, because every state has their own laws.
Okay.
I don't think we've ever got more specific than just saying certification, although my understanding is in Massachusetts, it's run through the Mass Restaurant Association, is that right?
They do have one, but I believe most restaurants just use it's literally tips.
Right.
It's a tips training.
Okay.
So I move that the select board vote to approve the requested change of category from wine and malt beverages to all alcoholic beverage license.
Wrong.
No,
No,
the wrong
I'm
one.
sorry.
Do you need me to call it up, Matthew?
You're trying to sneak that one in on us, Matthew?
Yeah, right.
What you doing there?
I'm clever that way. Here we go. Move that the select board vote to approve the application of Anthony's Coal-Fired Pizza of Littleton LLC, DBA Anthony's Coal-Fired Pizza at 201 Constitution Avenue, The Point, for a change of manager from Amanda Legis Perez to Michael Robert Helvitz for its all-alcoholic restaurant license under Mass General Law, Chapter 138, Section 12, contingent upon Mr. Helvitz acquiring his tip certification.
And submitting a copy to the town administrator's office, and then Yes.
And submitting it as, so noted.
So we'll make sure that all the forms are completed and the ABCC has the information they need, and then we can issue that.
So I
change.
move as amended by Mr. Ansaldi.
Yeah, I'm not sure he's all that.
No, it did, yeah.
Second?
Yes, all right, motion's made by Mr. Nordhaus, seconded by Ms. Napoli. Any further discussion? All those in favor, Mr. Knox?
Aye.
Ms. Napoli?
Aye.
Mr. Nordhaus?
Yes, aye.
Aye, and Ms. Levy's an aye as well. Good luck, Michael, and, okay, thank you.
Thank you very
Thank
much.
you.
We'll get you the tip certification as soon as
Thank you.
possible.
Terrific.
Have a good night.
Thanks.
All right, as we're closing in on 9 o'clock, and without Chuck here, I'm not sure how much time the board wants to adopt on these upcoming topics. Granted, I noticed that they're all ones that we've voted from earlier meetings. I think them on the agenda for earlier discussion. That's the key to getting.
Mr. Chair, if I may?
Yeah.
Do you want to just table the, all of them with the exception of the TDR Rights Working Group?
Yeah, so
16.
table A, B, and C for now, because I'm sure
Yeah.
Chuck will want to participate, and again, Anthony, as a scheduling matter, I mean, I appreciate these off, and we probably wouldn't have been in a position to discuss them tonight anyway, but when we do come back on, can we try to get them on earlier on the agenda?
Yes, we can do that.
Okay, all right. Does the board have any problem with Cindy's suggestion, items A, B, and C that we defer to another meeting?
I'm in favor.
I'm in favor.
Okay, fine, great, thank you all. Then that brings us down to item 6E. And I believe you are, Matthew, you the champion on that item?
I am, and I can give an update. I spoke to the town clerk about the creation of the working group, and it was our understanding that it was the planning board that initiated the creation. So at the last planning board meeting, we asked them to approve the creation of an ad hoc working group. The membership includes myself, Mr. Bartlett Harvey from the planning board, Amy Green representing Conservation Commission, Will Pickard and Brad Mitchell from AgCom, Rick Finley from the Littleton Conservation Trust, and Maren Toohill as a utility infielder and general good egg. So we are now official. We are in the process of scheduling our first meeting, and we are going to ask everyone to get sworn in, review the existing bylaw, and our first meeting will be discussing our charter, mission, and goals.
Okay, and I'm sure the clerk all straight on, you're on enough committees, you've been sworn in numerous times, and all your colleagues as well. We didn't them all individually for every little committee we were on.
Yep.
Yep, okay. There's no real action required from us, is that right?
That is correct.
Okay, great, but we do appreciate, and I think we all will look forward to an update as soon as you guys get meeting.
Absolutely.
Great, thank you. Board members, any other input or questions for Matthew?
Nope.
It occurs to me though, Mr. Knox, do you want to update on the fire chief search?
Well, not intended, I would welcome that.
Just the committee has met recently. We had the assessment center. We have candidates that we're looking at right now. No further details than that, other than we'll be hopefully meeting very shortly to decide who, if any, will be bringing before the board.
Okay, great. Okay. And let's move on, Anthony, the town administrator,
Sure.
assistant administrator update.
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Chair. The first item is Dawn already being proactive. She's great. She started looking at the select board rules and regulations. I think that we've been trying to look at that for a number of years, right? And one thing that she has in the packet that she changed up is a simple change, just changing Board of Selectmen to Select Board, and then also incorporating that that language that as a result of the personnel committee change and going to the handbook. And then our suggestion or our recommendation is that we try to bring this forward and start and get this adopted, this new policy, which is really benign at this point, but then look at section by section and attack that and bring it before the board to get it updated. So this is kind of our thoughts as step one, and we just wanted to throw it before the board and get some thoughts and opinions on that.
Yeah, I'll tell you, I do appreciate any effort in this direction, but I don't want to get out ahead of the board on this too far. And to that end, I mean, I noted I was looking for, was anything included in the packet on this, and at least in my hard copy packet that I got delivered, there wasn't. So I wouldn't mind seeing both the, whatever version of the board rules and regulations it is that you're operating off of, because it's been a long time since any of that's been voted and adopted, and really to be of impact, or to be of any enforcement, it is something that has to be adopted annually by each new board as constituted.
Right.
It's not like bylaws or laws. I know I'm telling you what you already know, but not everybody in the audience may be. So I think in order to make this valid, I mean, we really ought to circulate, by an email file if you've got it, what it is you're working from, so that we can all kind of consider it. Because beyond the topics that are in there, individual board members may look and see this no longer needs to be in there, that no longer needs to be in there, this ought to be changed, that ought to be left alone, and then the following 3 or 4 things should be in there and they're not, that sort of thing. So those are my thoughts on it. I don't want to persuade you or Don from moving forward on it, but I think for us all to have input to it, the more information we get, the better. And I invite other board members to jump into the conversation here.
If I may?
Yes.
Mr. Chair, thanks. So definitely something that as a board, supposed to review annually, and I appreciate Dawn taking the initiative to at least make those simple changes. My proposal is that we bring it back to the board, show the highlighted changes throughout the document, and to what Anthony mentioned was decide which section are we going to look at, when are we going to look at it. Because it's a daunting task, but I think if we break it up and have a schedule of specific sections that we're going to look at a specific time, it'll help actually get that project moving forward and completed. So that would be my recommendation, as Anthony had suggested.
We agree.
Yeah.
Certainly not opposed to personally dealing with it in chunks, I agree with you, but that doesn't necessarily allow for any overall structural change. If there are topics that aren't already in there, then we need to schedule time to consider that, or reformatting it or whatever. But it all starts in my mind with looking at it.
Yeah, absolutely.
As you suggested, highlighted.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, and we could certainly get that out to your recommendation, it's just your suggestion, Mr. Chair. We can get that out to you tomorrow.
Whatever, no one needs to jump through hoops, but yeah, sooner rather than later, I guess. Other board members, Joe, Matthew?
Not this time.
I think Cindy's approach is an excellent one because it is just too daunting to do all in one big chunk. And if there are structural changes, perhaps as we go through the individual sections, we'll recognize duplication or gaps and be able to address them at that point.
Okay, good. All right, I'm glad we're, where are we? You want to move on to the open space recreation plan draft RFP, Anthony?
Sure. So Joe has been working on this, so Joe, correct me if I'm wrong, we're working off a draft RFP right now, and we're looking to submit this as a project to use CPC funds, and, am I okay?
Yes.
Okay.
You're spot on.
And updating our open space and rec plan. Joe, anything to add to that?
No, I mean, that's basically it. So our current open space plan will expire in 2023. As we know from purchase of Tehadawon, maintaining a compliant and approved open space plan is totally necessary to make sure we're eligible for future grants and funding from the state. So since this sometimes takes a year and a half to get done, we're actually right on time, right on schedule as far as making sure that we can get funding through CPC and annual town meeting, so we can be in good shape to get an open space plan update completed before ours expires in 2023. And then, the other thing is that there is a implementation committee that currently is in place. And as we go forward over the next month or two, the board may want to consider whether or not we're making any changes, or we're asking for members who were previously appointed if they're interested in staying on the committee, so that when we receive funding and we publish the RFP, we can really hit the ground running.
So step one, Mr. Chair, we're asking the board tonight is to vote to support the request of CPC funding to update the town's open space and rec plan.
Yep, I see that. I'm sure I haven't done much of this tonight, but I'm going to go down memory lane. I remember when we did the first revision after the first open space document, and I was on the board and initiated having an open space committee. The committee's purpose was to do that work. Now the committee's purpose is to hire somebody and pay them $30,000. But I guess that's the nature of the time, so I'm certainly in favor of this.
Matthew, do you need
any other input, or we do need a vote on it? There is a motion, I believe.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, the implementation committee is not going to make the revisions? Is that what, did I misunderstand? I'm not sure where the $30,000 is coming into this discussion.
Right?
Right, so the $30,000, and there's additional money in there in case we want to do additional survey work or additional scope to the work. The money would fund retaining MAPC or a third-party consultant to assist in drafting that. The committee would be necessary to put in place to oversee and receive comment and to assist in coordinating, getting the word out, evaluating draft materials, and supporting the efforts of the open space plan.
And then this would be a continuation of, this would be the open space committee that, for example, might currently be listed on the town website. That would be the starting point of the group? Is that what I'm understanding?
I think because the charge of that committee says to update and it was like the 2009 plan, so it's the update of the update. It becomes a question whether or not you just want to revise the charge to reflect this current update, if the board wants to make any changes, and all the terms were undefined, which, as we know from the last meeting, town clerk had recommended putting on some terms on that as we appoint committee members. And there may be some people who just either aren't interested or other people that want to step up and oversee that effort as well.
Or more to the point, and thank you for bringing that up, Matthew. Since this is a year where we're closing in on the mandatory renewal, we might want to give particular attention when we're making any annual appointments in June, that this year's committee actually has a work mission where it doesn't always every year.
Yeah, okay, thank you. Great, thanks for the clarification. So, are you ready for a motion, Mr. Vice Chair?
I certainly am.
I move that the select board vote to support the request to the Community Preservation Committee for funding and update of the town's open space and recreation plan.
Second.
Motion is made by Mr. Nordhaus, seconded by Ms. Napoli. Any further discussion? All those in favor, Mr. Knox?
Aye.
Ms. Napoli?
Aye.
Mr. Nordhaus?
Aye.
Mr. Davies and I as well. Motion carries. And we have minutes.
We do indeed. I believe I don't have any corrections or changes to make.
They look good to me too. Anyone else? Cindy, Joe?
Good.
Sounds good.
All right, I move that the select board vote to approve the meeting minutes of January 10th, 2022.
Second.
Okay, motion's made by Mr. Nordhaus, seconded by Ms. Napoli. Any further discussion? All those in favor, Mr. Knox?
Aye.
Ms. Napoli?
Aye.
Mr. Nordhaus?
Aye.
Mr. Davies, and I as well. Minutes are approved. Do you have another motion, Mr. Nordhaus?
I move that we adjourn.
Right.
Second.
All right, motion's made by Mr. Nordhaus, seconded by Mr. Knox. Any further discussion? If not, all those in favor, Mr. Knox?
Aye.
Ms. Napoli?
Aye.
Mr. Nordhaus?
Aye.
Mr. Davies and I as well. Thank you all. Appreciate all your help tonight. Good meeting.
You made it just under 9. Congratulations. Way to go.
Thank you.